Welcome ladies and gents, Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter, or of course you can subscribe to the channel. Let's talk boxing. You know, George Foreman made so many millions from his George Foreman's grill. He actually eclipsed any money he made from the professional game. He actually generated generational wealth, the type of wealth that doesn't just change your life, but it changes the lives of your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids. It literally emancipates you to a different level. Ooh, the money that guy made. And we are seeing the emergence of another genius business idea, which could very well catapult another former world champion into the same sort of stratosphere, financially speaking. ZabJudah's extra safe condoms. That's right, ladies and gents. F like a champ. That's ZabJudah's motto. And listen, I firmly believe that when a former world champion with the class of ZabJudah decides that he wants to venture into the business world, it's our duty to be able to contribute to that cause. So here's my contribution this Saturday night. When you get your sexual appetite, don't be a dick. Avoid your prick getting sick. Instead of needing a swab in a lab, get extra safe with a rubber from Zab. ZabJudah, I got your back, baby. And listen, I want to cut 25%. It's all good. But listen, good luck, ZabJudah. People out there, prevent yourselves from getting chlamydia or whatever. Get Zab's face on your bellend. It might really help. Now, moving on from ZabJudah and his rubbers, let's talk about another beef that has emerged that has brought about a boxing opportunity. ErlingHaaland, the man who is an absolute monster up front for Manchester City, breaking all the records early on. 1.4 goals a game he was averaging up until the previous game. The highest previously to that was Thierry Henry, which was something like 0.68 goals per game. This man is an absolute beast. You Premier League fans out there, I'm sure you would have seen these two almost go at it on the field the other day. There's a bit of pushing and pulling, as Carl Froch would like to say. ErlingHaaland right there mocking BenGodfrey, and people talking on social media that ErlingHaaland would just wipe the floor with this guy. I would slow your roll if I was you. BenGodfrey's been doing some boxing training for a few years now. You can just imagine him preparing for ErlingHaaland right here in the gym. Rocky Balboa theme tune blaring out in the background. Rising up, back on the street. Did my time, took my chances. Go on, Ben, son. Look at those uppercuts too. Looking like a dad trying to dance at his daughter's wedding after a few shandies. Nonetheless, although there's some technical deficiencies there, he's an athletic guy. He's carrying a lot of pop in those punches. If he lands one of those on ErlingHaaland's chin, who knows what could happen. This, to me, has shades of Balboa versus Drago. Look at them. I'm more than happy to be a co-promoter on this. If the Zone want to employ me, they can bring in Misfits boxing as well. Why look at guys like KSI and Dylan Dennis? Imagine the revenue we could generate getting two Premier League footballers to fight each other. It's definitely the fight that needs to be made. And they actually asked ErlingHaaland about this particular fight and how it would go. And this is what Erling had to say.
What's your prediction for the fight?
Let me know about what other athletes from any other sports you would love to see square off against each other. Whether they're footballers, tennis players, NFL players, basketball players, whatever it might be. If you think it makes a great rivalry, leave it in the comment section down below. But moving on from Rocky Godfrey and EvanderHolyfieldd, let's get a little bit more serious right now. Let's talk about EddieHearn and AnthonyJoshua and the comeback trail. EddieHearn has said that the plan is now to rebuild him to become a 3-time heavyweight world champion. It's all very well and brave listening to Twitter, going out and fighting Deontay Wilder, but there has to be a plan, a smart plan. Joshua wants to return with a top 15 guy, then in the summer probably versus Dillian Whyte, and then a mega fight with Deontay Wilder. Now it's yet to be known, of course, who will be that first guy that he fights who's in the top 15, regardless of who it might be. A lot of people are also saying this is proof that AnthonyJoshua did not want to fight Tyson Fury. That's why the fight fell through, regardless of what your position is on that. They're also saying that this is proof that he wants to duck Deontay Wilder. I don't agree with that. Because if this is your asset, this is your fighter, he's coming off of 2 back-to-back defeats, you need to rebuild that confidence and you need to work on some specific things. This is not just promoter talk or anything like that, because you've seen other great fighters who have said the same sort of thing. You've had Roy Jones Jr., for instance, one of the all-time great pound-for-pound fighters, who's now, of course, the trainer of Chris Eubank Jr. He's basically come out and he said that he can't go into the Deontay Wilder fight after losing 2 fights to Usyk. That doesn't make any sense at all. If you find someone who isn't quite the puncher like Wilder is and get yourself back to winning, then you can get comfortable to the adjustments that your new trainer will make you make. Once you get comfortable with those adjustments, then you can fight Wilder, because hopefully those adjustments have made you better and you've got the confidence that you can get back into the ring with Wilder and you can probably beat Wilder. But if you're coming off of 2 losses against Usyk with the confidence being down already, if Wilder hits you, then you don't know. That's going to be crazy. Wilder is a phenomenal heavyweight. Wilder is one of the hardest punching heavyweights in fighting right now. Against Wilder, you've got to be mistake proof. You make a mistake with Wilder and it could be over. That was in an interview with ID Boxing. And Roy Jones is also making a play, as you guys are fully aware, to train Anthony Joshua. It's not the first time. We've discussed this on the channel before. A lot of people have been saying that I don't think he suits Roy Jones Jr., and I understand that. Roy Jones was a very athletic, explosive and sudden with his fantastic agility. Anthony Joshua is more of a big man, and although he's become a lot more fluid, he's a different style of heavyweight. Now, that doesn't mean that Roy Jones can only teach one style, because sometimes there are transferable skills. One of the really good things that Roy Jones had about his game is his ability to set up a shot that was sudden and explosive. And we know that Anthony Joshua is a fantastic athlete, but he's also a very big puncher. So if Roy Jones can help him set up killer shots, so to speak, well, then he can add another facet to his game potentially. Because one of the things about Anthony Joshua, as heavy-handed as he is as a puncher, a lot of these knockouts are about breaking guys down. They come off the combinations. And there's no doubt that he's got the sort of one-punch knockout power that could clean a guy out. But maybe he just doesn't set it up to make it as surprising, as sudden. It's the shots you don't see coming that knock you out. Maybe Roy Jones could help AJ disguise a big power shot. Now, it's not necessarily the case. I'm just throwing it out there. And one of the things that Roy Jones said is, we spoke and I do have a plan for him. I haven't told him yet, but if he likes the way we get along in the gym, then for me, any fighter he fights is going to be a big fight anyway. But you've got to do it with guys who are not quite as good as Usyk and Fury yet. We need 2 fights to get yourself back into motion, and they'll be big fights. They won't be stroll fights. They'll be big fights. Then we go either after Usyk or Fury, whoever wins, but we do need 2 good fights to get him back. And I already have 2 fights in mind that I want, but I've got to talk to him and make sure that he's in agreement. I like the way that Roy Jones Jr. operated there, because he said, I haven't told him yet, but if he likes the way we get along, in other words, I'm not willing to give up the game plan. I'm not telling you everything that you need to do. You're going to need to trust me here. And I've also got a couple of fights planned for you. In other words, I know the journey you need to take to get you back to the top. But you have to trust me. I'm not out here giving you free information, essentially. Now, Anthony Joshua, in an interview, responded as well to the rumours about Roy Jones. And he said, I respect Roy highly. What a man, what a talent, what a fighter. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that just because of that, he is qualified to train me. This is where it ends, really. But I'd love to see and work and where we go from there. In other words, what he's trying to say, Anthony Joshua, is that, yes, you're a great fighter, but that doesn't necessarily make you qualified to train someone else and turn them into the type of fighter that you were. It is a different skill set. And I do understand what Anthony Joshua is saying by that. But this also shows me that AJ might not be as confused as a lot of people are assuming. He's got an idea of who to listen to, who not to listen to. There are nuggets of information I'd like to take on from X, Y, and Z, but I know that this guy is not qualified. This is how he feels. I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but I'm saying in his head, he seems to have an understanding of that. And there have been other fighters that have also given him advice, so to speak. You've had EvanderHolyfieldd come out, the real deal, and we know that AJ loves and respects Holyfield. This particular photo was on his way to fight Vladimir Klitschko. When he turned up to the arena, to the stadium, he saw Holyfield, and you saw the level of respect that he showed. He was pretending to bow down before Holyfield as well. EvanderHolyfieldd, of course, was a fantastic fighter in his own right, but has also not gone on to become this elite level trainer. He hasn't dipped his fingers into that sort of pie, and so Anthony Joshua is unlikely to recruit him for anything, but he does like to ask people advice and take on pearls of wisdom. Holyfield was basically saying he doesn't throw enough punches, he doesn't use his size to his advantage, he's a big guy, he's got to use the jab. Everybody knew that Stevenson had a great jab, and that's pretty much what he is throwing, and every time he catches you asleep with the jab, you then get hit with the right hand and you are out of there. Anthony Joshua can pretty much do the same thing. He's a big and large and a good heavyweight. He can actually box, and he has to be a bit more aggressive. You have to use your size to your advantage. Sometimes he gets with a guy, he won't overbear him, he won't push you down, but they are trying to push him down. You have to play the game out right and not let somebody else out hustle you. In other words, he seems to be questioning the aggression and the willingness to get up close and personal and really force his will onto the fight. And that seems to be Evander Holyfield's position. Now, one of the things I'll say is that Anthony Joshua has shown the ability to adjust. He used to be a big, ultra aggressive, come forward puncher who was very good at mid-range with his hooking. His uppercuts were always fantastic. He's got that lovely jab. He's got a strong, long right hand that can hurt a guy. But he was getting hit a lot. And he said that he adjusted and needed to be more fluid in order to extend the course of his career. And he brought in Angel Fernandez. And you saw after the defeat to Andy Ruiz, he did actually adjust and he has become a lot more fluid. His skill set has grown. But then when he's needed to revert back perhaps to a style that was more primal, a style that was more about war and getting physical against Alexander Usyk, many people felt as though he was unable to do that. You know, my personal opinion on this, he still had to be smart. The old AJ would not have beaten Alexander Usyk. But what needed to happen for me, in my opinion, is for him to be able to lure Usyk onto a shot. When he then lands a big shot, he had to be able to initiate the clinch and work on the inside. And I explained in the technical breakdown the sort of things that force Usyk into a clinch. The left hook around the back of the ear will often lead Usyk to have a high guard. You can then pull him in. You can find gaps with the uppercuts and the hook, something Briedis did very well. Anthony Joshua didn't seem adept at that inside game. So I understand what Holyfield's saying here, and to an extent, part of being more aggressive is that element, but you need to add the knowledge of that. And one of the guys that perhaps has the knowledge is none other than RiddickBowe. He was a big heavyweight for his time who was capable of being a really destructive inside fighter, a nemesis, of course, of EvanderHolyfieldd. And if you look at some of the videos of interviews that he's put out in the past, IFL TV, True School Sports, he is often very, very praising of Anthony Joshua. He says that AJ reminds him of himself. He says that there are flaws with AJ and that he's willing to help. And those flaws are that he doesn't get his head off the angles, he believes, when he's up close. He also says that prior to the Usyk fight, he said that Anthony Joshua would beat both Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. This was about 4 years ago. And in a more recent interview, he was saying that RiddickBowe himself could beat Tyson Fury if he was to fight him, obviously in his prime, not today. But he was basically saying that he would target the body. And he believes that by not overreacting to the herky-jerky style and leading with power shots when Fury's trying to use those feints and getting inside and targeting the body, that he could break down Tyson Fury. So he clearly believes that you need to get up close, be very aggressive with Fury and rip that body. Now, whether this is right or wrong, the fact of the matter is that that is perhaps an element of AJ's game that's missing. In the more recent fights against Pulev, he was impacting the opponent's guard. He was using body manipulation, breaking the guy's construct, and he was doing some really good work with it. But there is still work there to be done. So the question is, does he look towards a trainer? Perhaps like RiddickBowe, who's been there and done it, as a fighter himself who knows how to fight on the inside. Another one is Derek James, who AJ has been in contact with. Derek James's fighters are fantastic on the inside. Maybe that's where he needs to go. In other words, AJ needs to add more wrinkles. Maybe that's the mindset that he needs to take on in order to grow as a fighter and to go to that next level. And if he does, do you think he could then potentially catapult himself back into the limelight, beat the likes of Deontay Wilder, get himself into a position to fight the winner of Usyk and Fury? And if so, can you ever see AJ being back on the top of the heap? Let me know what you think, ladies and gents. And before you lot run off to go and enjoy your weekend, just remember, the next time you guys find a beautiful but emotionally vulnerable young lady out there who's willing to give you guys a shot, you know what to do. When she asks you if you're ready for some loving, you can reach into the back pocket, pull out those Zab extra safe condoms and just confidently tell her, always be ready, never get caught out. Please don't forget to hit a stiff jab on the like button, a right cross on the subscribe button, and an uppercut on the notifications button. Thanks for watching. Chat to you soon. Take care. God bless.